Hello, I'm Bill McElroy, an architect and urban designer based in Boston, Massachusetts. The Trichy Commons Network proposal was one of the most impressive submissions across the whole Z-Axis competition. It was the unanimous choice to receive the award for the best project in the threshold category B, Commons in the City. It is a project of design intelligence and legibility. It identifies an urban condition that applies to many cities and towns, not only across India but around the world. On the periphery of Trichy, the Uakondian Canal is transformed from a disadvantaged, thoroughly neglected sewage dump that acts as a dividing line in the community into an asset where the revitalized canal becomes an agent of connection for the people who live beside it. The proposal works across several scales in many ways through a series of interventions. Together they act as a catalyst that could trigger major positive change over time. The scheme's originality is in its combination of seemingly incompatible urban elements. At the large scale, working at the level of urban infrastructure and landscape urbanism, a wastewater management and rainwater facility is proposed. It harvests and filters polluted water and reintroduces the treated water back into the canal. The clean water also irrigates the newly planted Miyawaki forest plantation along its banks. Located next to the waste management complex is a community meeting hall with a diverse educational and cultural program, including a library with internet access. A third element is a public open space incorporating child's playground and a youth area. Other fine-scaled urban elements include a pedestrian and cycling bridge linking both sides of the canal and a series of small platforms at the end of the neighborhood streets overlooking the canal for informal gatherings. During our jury deliberations, my colleagues and I had an active discussion about the meaning and symbolism of the light metal fencing indicated in the project's three-dimensional drawings. To secure the space was seen as necessary, but surely for this place to be a community resource for everyone, its borders needed to be broken down. We wondered if a more subtle solution could be thought of. One way to think of this concern could be to rearrange the combination of elements. If the children's play space and volleyball court were reconfigured into a courtyard, a kind of outdoor room, they could be bounded by the waste management building and the meeting hall. A compound would then be created where the public space would be embraced by the buildings rather than merely being fenced. I noticed in the comprehensive video and a photograph of the existing conditions on the first sheet of the submission, a religious building located on the neighborhood side of the canal bank. This archaic building has a monolithic resonance that I feel the present architectural language of the scheme could be inspired by in a contemporary way. This small but monumental simple GOT structure has a civic presence that the wastewater plant and meeting hall deserve. Notwithstanding, this project has an expansiveness about it that is both based in gritty realism and a forward-looking spirit. Its authors paid special attention to its context. It is a critique against the routine master planning attitude. Instead, it is based on an approach that works at the intersection of urbanism and environmental responsibility through citizen activism. In recognizing this project, we offer our support for its continuation and final implementation.
So this project actually it started as an urban design project in the Care School of Architecture under Professor Ramalingam, Godwin, and Ranjita. So the students, they worked on this project, and then to take it further, we also had a few workshops, and one of the workshops was conducted by Professor PBK Rameshwar. And so then what we thought that it should be taken forward, and we tried to form the Citizens Forum for this is the canal which is called it's a 1,000-year-old canal which is called the Uyakondan Canal in Trichy. So we tried to form the Citizens Forum, which we called as the Citizens for Uyakonda. So because it happens to be in the middle of the place, what we said was anybody can join, the criteria is that you should be using water. So it made people get excited, and we had lots of people. We had people from all walks of life coming in, professionals, students, and others also. And then we try to rope in the corporates and others also. So we had the Care School of Architecture and Bishop Heber College as the institutional partners. And then we had an executive arm, which is the Bridge Foundation. And we had the professional connect with the Indian Institute of Architects, Trichy Center. And then we worked with the Rotary Club of Trichy and the Inner Wheel Club. And we collaborated with the Trichy City Corporation and the PWD River Conservation Division also. And as far as the corporates were concerned, we are in touch with the HPCL, which has sponsored our work. And we are also in touch with ONGC. And so this is how it started. And we started on January 7th was when Citizens for Uyokondan launched the cleaning up drive along the banks of the canal. And now we have completed about 150 weeks. So we have tried to engage with the public throughout this, and post-COVID or during this hopefully the last session of COVID. So what we tried was we tried to do one area which is at the fag end where the canal leaves the city. So that is a very polluted area. And so here we are working with the corporation, the people of that area, and our people from the citizens of Uyokonda. So we are just trying to get some of the activity there where we would like to involve the public into the whole thing. So for this, one of the thing was we tried to rope in church, temple, and a mosque situated at Durisamipuram, where we thought that we will ask them to do rainwater harvesting and let the filtered water into the canal. So this is what we have been doing right now.
Yeah, so for this proposal, we take this part of the city. So one of the places where the canal and the city limits join. So as you can see, it's at a very dense neighborhood in the city, and the canal forms a dividing line between the city and the agricultural land around it. It's also a pretty relatively poor neighborhood with lack of good quality open space. So some images from the neighborhood, and the issues the neighborhood faces are similar to the issue that the canal faces throughout the city, which is dumping of sewage and solid waste, poor maintenance of the bank, and lack of any quality open spaces. So the canal is viewed as a disadvantage. So this is an overview of the neighborhood. It's a dense neighborhood with no open spaces, also relatively poor households. The northeast bank of the canal, which is unused, and there is a lack of perception of safety also there. It's unused also because of the lack of connections. So for a stretch of 1.5 kilometers, there is one small pedestrian bridge, which effectively leads to neglecting the canal, which has now become a place for dumping of sewage waste and household solid waste, without any relationship to the neighborhood. So we looked at ways. One is at the neighborhood level scale, and the other is at a specific site level scale. So at the neighborhood level scale, one of the first initiatives that is also underway is to clean up the northeast canal bank and establish a Miyawaki-style forest plantation to also protect the canal bank from future misuse. The other, like it was mentioned, we rope in the local institutions, so the church, the temple and the mosque, and the school to engage with rainwater harvesting, but also engage them to raise awareness within the community. The third is CFU has agreed with the municipality to develop an unused plot as a community center with waste management, local waste management. And the fourth longer term prospects is to improve connection through pedestrian and bicycle bridges, extend dead-end roads into small platforms to increase the relationship of the people with the canal, and then to develop a decentralized sewage plant to treat the sewage water from the neighborhood. At the community center, it's a bit more focused. So this is the land that is acquired from the municipality to develop as a community center, which is cleared of debris. So we follow three main pillars. One is to have a localized waste management and waste segregation, then to develop a community space, and the third is to develop an open leisure area for the neighborhood. And then the phasing of development is to establish the low-cost, easy initiatives first. So right now there is the local youth use this open space for ad hoc volleyball court. We would formalize it to establish this place as more community space, and then to have a small low-cost public children's play area. The next step of the development is to have a collective waste collection center and waste segregation, where the organic waste could be composted on site and used for the Miyawaki forest that's been developed. And then to have a few public eco-toilet units with a small water treatment plant to be let into the canal. And in the third leg of the development is to establish a community space with a lending library that is also gaining popularity in different parts of the city. A small hall that could be used for local tuition center for the kids or for other community activities, and then to establish a Wi-Fi network for educational purposes. And in the future, to develop a small workshop that people from the neighborhood could come and fabricate. So more like a small production and education center. I think the main goal for us with this is to actually develop or pilot a project wherein if we could test, if we could bring back a sense of ownership and community engagement in a neighborhood such as that. So which goes hand in hand with the canal vitalization and also with neighborhood development. And since the competition, like it was mentioned, we conducted a webinar on rainwater harvesting and canal water recharge. We obtained a pledge from the local religious institutions and also the educational institution to set up rainwater harvesting schemes and to recharge the collected rainwater into the canal. We are preparing a questionnaire to understand the issues regarding waste collection and waste management in the neighborhood, their perception towards the canal, and their wishes and other facilities, which is being circulated in the coming weeks so that we could fine-tune the proposal. And the land for the Miyawaki forest is already cleared and prepared so that we could undertake that in the coming weeks as well. So here you see the site for the Miyawaki forest that's been prepared, and hopefully we continue with this project, the development. Thank you.